I tend to overthink things. Not just the things that I said 5 years ago that came out wrong, or potential outcomes of completely imaginary scenarios, like normal people. Not to say I don't overthink those too, I do quite often. But I also overthink super random things that really don't have any bearing on me or anyone. The last thing I overthought was the movie WALL-E. There is a surprising amount to overthink in WALL-E. There are the obvious ones of somehow America and potentially the world has allowed a mega corporation to expand so much that the CEO of that mega corporation is the President of the United States. How does that happen? Then there's the issue of the fact that the Earth is completely covered in trash. One definite thing we know is the starships left Earth 700 years ago, and Earth was considered uninhabitable and unrecoverable. We as a species managed to completely destroy a planet and its ecosystem without dropping nuclear bombs. But you get beyond those overarching, horrifying messes that are way too rooted in reality. There's more. There's also the eerily HAL-like autopilot, Otto. For any of those who don't know, HAL is the computer from 2001: A Space Odyssey that ends up basically killing everyone on the ship he's controlling. Well, one guy escapes because he figures out Hal is killing everyone. Hal goes on this murderous rampage because I just know Hal is basically a crazy murder bot who is smarter than any of us. Otto is very, very intentionally modeled after Hal. Like, they both have the glowing red eye of doom. You can't tell me that's not intentional. And there's nothing like an artificial intelligence that thinks it knows what's best for humanity to keep me awake at night. That's why Siri scares me, duh. So here's where my overthinking gets really crazy. So when the captain wakes up and receives the ship's report, the population status has remained unchanged. And presumably, this is the regular report. And that is extremely problematic. The fact that there are infants on the ship lead me to some very scary questions. Are the robots running some sort of strange eugenics program where anyone who reaches a certain age or requires a certain amount of attention from the ship's stewards or weighs too much for their hover chair, like, do they just get removed from the equation every time there's a new child born? Or do the robots just grow the babies in test tubes and one is born every time someone dies of an inevitable heart attack or falls into a sugar coma and doesn't wake up? Because the interaction of the two humans who actually come in contact with WALL-E and their interactions with each other indicates that these humans never leave their hover chairs. So it's not the humans making the babies. So literally, the only option is that there is a creepy baby lab somewhere in the underbelly of this ship.
It's worth pointing out here that I kind of just assumed any dead people were being used in the never-ending buffet, if I even thought about it at all. Apparently I've been so overexposed to historical instances of cannibalism, I can no longer be truly horrified. What that says about me, I'm not sure I want to know, but if you want an in-depth look at this appalling tidbit, I recommend this video by the film theorists. Link in the description.
But now we get to the actual hero of this movie. The entire movie is about this little robot who was designed to clean up trash, somehow gaining sentience. At the beginning of the movie, he has a personality. He makes decisions about what is trash and what is not, and has a collection of things that he has organized. He watches Hello Dolly on repeat every night. Most movies about robots that gain sentience include a lot of humans dying. So is this movie not horrifying because the robot that gained sentience wasn't a robot that was actually supposed to have intelligence? Wally wasn't intelligent. He was literally there to scoop up trash and make it into a cube. That is his directive. So is the only reason we get this cute movie about a robot just puttering around, singing to himself, and getting confused over whether a spork is a fork or a spoon because that robot wasn't intelligent to begin with? This is depressing. Why do I make children's movies depressing? What is wrong with me? One rabbit hole my brain dived down, and I don't think I've ever come quite back up, is Wally infected with some kind of virus that makes robots sentient? Eve, the droid that was sent to Earth to look for plant life, doesn't show any signs of sentience or emotion until she comes in contact with Wally. And she's not the only one. Every robot, and really every character who comes in contact with Wally, ends up a little more self-aware, a little more human than they were before. Eve becomes immensely attached to Wally, and Wally to Eve. That little cleaner robot, Mo, turns into just this deviant revolutionist because of getting caught in the trash chute with Wally. In fact, Mo's rebellion started even sooner than that, when Mo saw Wally's dirt trail and had to make a decision between following the line, which was where he was supposed to go, and cleaning the mess of the foreign contaminant. Mo jumps off the line and starts cleaning the mess, and Mo is a free roaming entity from that point on. So is the virus in the dirt? This is making way too much sense now. It scares me. There's a little robot that was punching buttons for the lift. I'm not sure what the function of that robot was, but Wally waved to the robot. And after that interaction, the robot just waves to people. Is the virus airborne now? What's going on? All the broken down robots in the repair bay, I guess? I want to say medical bay, but it's robots, so there's nothing medical about it. After Wally accidentally sets them free, they all form a posse led by Wally and Eve. That isn't normal robot behavior. I know, I'm applying logic to a children's movie. I should stop, but I can't. There's also the question of whether Otto was really sinister before he came in contact with Wally, because I think he did give the order to destroy plant life before Wally was on the ship and came in contact with him, but he didn't openly revolt against the captain until after Wally was around. So that might be the one hole in my theory. That or Otto was already infected. No, Otto was obeying a directive from a higher source, which is why he didn't obey the captain, which is, again, very like Hal. And this is a cute movie until you think about it. Basically, sentient robots are only fun in the Pixar universe. Then there is what I consider the most traumatic part of the movie. I'm sure when most people think of the traumatic part of this movie, they think of the moment Wally is literally crushed trying to save the plant. But that isn't the most traumatic part of the movie. The most traumatic part is after Eve has flown Wally back to his little nest and repaired him and wakes him up. And Wally isn't Wally anymore. That is the worst part of the movie. Not worst as in worst done, but just it makes you feel awful, or at least it makes me feel awful, because it kind of reflects that fact that once trauma has happened, once someone has experienced trauma, they aren't the same person anymore. They still look like the same person, but they don't always act like the same person, and there will always be a part of them that is different. And for some people, that lasts longer than others. It's more significant for some people than with others. Some people are able to find a new normal very quickly, and the new normal reflects the old normal much better than for other people. But trauma literally changes you, and it isn't something that can just get fixed by loving them or all their physical wounds being healed. That helps, but it's hard. And for just a few short seconds, you see that in Wally. Eva has lost the Wally that we all love, the Wally that prefers the ring box to the ring itself. I don't know if this reflection of trauma was intentional on the part of the story creators. It could just be a way to build drama because that's what movies do. The person stops breathing and everyone gives up on CPR, then 5 seconds later they start breathing again because that's how dramatic tension works. But honestly, it really doesn't matter if it was intentional or not. I just overthink everything and conspiracy theorize until I'm blue in the face. And the conspiracies didn't even end with the movie. I watched the theatrical short Presto, and now I am very convinced that the White Rabbit in Presto is the White Rabbit in Secret Life of Pets. And you can't tell me they're not the same rabbit. I don't care that they were invented by different companies. It is the same rabbit. It makes sense. I'm pretty sure the White Rabbit in Secret Life of Pets used to be owned by a magician. The White Rabbit in Presto is owned by a magician. And things happen to that White Rabbit that would cause that White Rabbit to be crazy and anarchist and against all humans like the White Rabbit is in Secret Life of Pets, and I need to stop talking now because I'm getting very, very animated about animated characters. This is what happens when I watch way too many theory videos on YouTube and then watch a movie on my own. I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you agree with some of my theories or have theories of your own, or if you just think I'm a crazy person ranting on YouTube. That's okay too. I am just a crazy person ranting on YouTube. I also rant on a blog that I'll put link in the description below. Thanks for listening to me ramble, guys. Bye.